Alright, so today we're going to be dividing monomials. So now when we're dividing monomials, there's this one thing, it's called the quotient of powers. What that means is when you divide two numbers that have powers, what are you supposed to do? What you do is, when you're dividing powers with the same base, all you basically do is just subtract the powers. So if you have x to the 11th power divided by x to the 3rd power, it's going to be written as x and then basically just 11 minus 3, which to that x would be equal to 8. So what I want you to do, I want you to pause the video, try this one off to the right. Remember, this is x to the 1st power. Alright, so if we have x to the 3rd and x to the 1st, that would be x to the 2nd. And then y to the 4th divided by y to the 2nd, that would be y to the 2nd, because all we're doing is subtracting the powers. Now if we have the power of a quotient, so if we have a quotient here and we have a power that's going to it, all we would have to do is just find the power of both the numerator and the denominator. So I'm going to do the first two, and then you're going to do the second one off to, or the third one off to the right. So if all you have to do is, what's the power of x1 to the 4th? With that would equal x to the 4th. Same thing, so that's the numerator, this is the denominator, that would be y to the 4th. And that would be your final answer. Now the second one, looks like we have a little bit more. So now, if we have 5 to the 2nd power, we are going to solve 5 to the 2nd power. That means, what is 5 times 5? That would be 25. And this is x to the 1st, remember that. So that would be x to the 2nd all over. Now this is y to the 2nd raised to the 2nd power. Remember previously we have to multiply these. So this would be y to the 4th. And this would be your final answer. Now what I want you to do, I want you to pause the video, try this one off to the right. Use this one down here as a basis. So pause it and try this one. Alright, now we have 3 to the 2nd power. This is a second, not a z. So it's 3 to the 2nd power, which is 3 times 3, which is 9. Now we have our x. And this is x to the 3rd, and we're going to raise it to the 2nd. So with this, remember, we multiply powers. So x to the 6. Now divided by, we have 7 to the 2nd power, which means 7 times 7, which is 49. And this would be our final answer. So now we're going to be talking about a zero exponent. That basically means when the exponent is 0. With this, any number raised to the 0 power is equal to 1. That is extremely important. Anything raised to the 0 power is equal to 1. So 15 raised to the 0 power is equal to 1. A million raised to the 0 power is 1. 13,322 raised to the 1st power is 1. So now let's go down here to the bottom. We have a y to the 0 power. Remember, that is equal to 1. So, but we still have some x's here. So what are we supposed to do with these? Remember, like usual, all we'd have to do is subtract. So what is 5 minus 3? That would be x to the 2nd power. Now I said this y to the 0 power, it would be equal to 1. So it's like we're just multiplying it. But you don't even really have to put that in there, because if anything multiplied by 1 is the same thing. So we could just take it out, and then our final answer is x to the second power. So what I want you to do, I want you to try this whole one off to the right. This one's a little tricky. Remember, this whole thing is raised to the 0 power. So pause the video, try this one off to the right. Okay, so remember, I want to take this whole thing and raise it to the 0 power. So if I'm raising this whole thing to the 0 power, it's always going to equal 1. 1 is our final answer. It doesn't matter what's on the inside of these parentheses. Anything that is raised to the 0 power is always equal to 1. Now we're going to be working with some negative exponents. Now, when we have an exponent that is negative, like this -4 or this -3, what you would do, find the reciprocal. Find the reciprocal. So, if we have x to the -4th, the reciprocal of x to the 4th is 1 over x to the 4th. That's all that it is. This is what the answer would be, 1 over x to the 4th. So, if we have this one off to the right, or in the one in the middle, 3 to the -3rd, that means it'd be 1. The reciprocal of 3 to the 3rd is 1 to 3 raised to the 3rd power. Now we can simplify that. So what is 3 times 3 times 3? So 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. So with this, our final answer would be 1 to the 27th. This would be our simplified final answer. So remember, find the reciprocal. Now, we are going to be dividing numbers. Dividing numbers with exponents, and one of them is a negative number. So the first thing you got to do, just remember, just subtract them like usual. That's the first thing you got to do. Just subtract them like usual. That'll be the easiest part. So now we have r raised to the, so it's -3 minus 6. Be careful with your negative numbers. So -3 raised, or -3 minus 6 would be r raised to the -9. Because remember, it's like you have to add the opposite, so it's -3 plus -6, which is equal to -9. Now, just like the very first one, we have r raised to the -9. That is equal, remember, find the reciprocal. That would be equal to 1 over r to the 9th power. And this would be your final answer. I recommend breaking it out first, doing the subtraction, and then finding the reciprocal. Alright. I'm going to walk you through this one down here, and on the next slide you're going to try one. So we have n to the -5th p times p to the 4th, all divided by r to the 2nd. So what I'm going to do, since there really isn't anything that pairs up, I'm just going to break it out. If we have, this would be just n to the -5th over 1, just because you could just have a 1 down here, and then these two could pair up. Then, so that could be multiplied. This r to the 2nd, this is in the denominator, so we could do it r to the 2nd down on the bottom. That would be over 1. Now we have a p to the fourth. This would be like n over here, so it would be p to the fourth over 1. Now, we have a negative number. So these, we can just leave these alone because these powers are already positive. But this one's negative. We need to find the reciprocal of this one, which would be 1 over n to the fifth. If we do that, now we have every power is a positive. We can multiply straight across. 1 times 1 times p to the fourth is equal to p to the fourth, all over n to the fifth times r to the second times 1, which is n to the fifth r to the second. And this would be our final answer. So now what I want you to do, I want you to try this one. Remember, it may look like a lot, but remember to break it down piece by piece. So pause the video, try this one, and unpause the video when you're ready to see what I've done. Okay, so I'm going to break this down piece by piece to begin with. So we have our whole numbers, so I can just break this up as 5 over negative 20. That's the first thing. Now I have the r's. So I have r to the negative third over r to the second. Now I'll break up the t's. It would be t to the fourth over t to the seventh. And then I just have the u. So I'm just going to put this 1 up here with the u. So that's going to be 1 over u to the negative fifth. Now I'm just going to take each one of these, work it by itself. So 5 over negative 20, that can be simplified down to negative 1/4. Alright, now if we do r to the negative 3 divided by r to the second, remember that is basically r to the negative third minus r to the, or minus 2. So that would just be r to the negative 5 to the r to the negative 5. Now we would have t to the fourth minus 7. That would basically be t to the negative thirds. And then remember we have 1 over u to the negative fifth. Now remember, all we have to do is find the reciprocal, which with that would be u to the fifth over 1. Now, these are all, there's a positive, there are no exponents in here, so we don't have to worry about it. This exponent is positive, so we don't have to worry about it. Now we just have to worry about these exponents. So how would we write these as fractions? So we would write this, I'm just going to go back through, we have 1 to the negative fourth. Now r to the negative fifth, the reciprocal is 1 over r to the fifth. The reciprocal of t to the negative third is 1 over t to the third. And then we still have u to the fifth over 1. Now, all of these are positive. Positive 5, positive 3, positive 5. And then this one doesn't have any exponents. Now we can multiply straight across. By doing that, 1 times 1 times 1 times u to the 5th is u to the 5th, all over negative 4 times r to the 5th times t to the 3rd times 1. That would equal negative 4 times r to the 5th times t to the 3rd. And this would be our final answer. So please take your time. Break it out if it helps. Time for a quick little review. So if you have any powers that are dividing, all you have to do, subtract them. If there's any number raised to the 0 power, it's always 1. If there are negative powers, find the reciprocal. And if the problems are larger, I highly recommend breaking them down into smaller pieces so that it will help you. Use your notes definitely along when you're solving the problems. Let me know if you have any questions, and if need be, look down in the comments section where there are going to be extra videos that could help you out.